It was past midnight when I ran the script. I'd been digging through obscure parts of the deep web for weeks, looking for something different. Something not just illegal, but unexplained. I didn't want drug forms or torture streams. I wanted the forbidden type of information. The kind people whispered about in IRC channels and quickly deleted when moderators joined. I found the code buried in a private repository called Bridge Speak. Password protected dead link. Except it wasn't. I bypassed the lock with an outdated backdoor exploit, and there it was. A terminal-based chat client, stripped down to pure input-output lines. At the top it said, "For communication with beyond entities, do not break protocol." I didn't believe in ghosts or demons. This was just some edgy creepypasta crap, probably made by another bored hacker like me. But I was exhausted from porn dumps and stolen credit card forms. I needed something that didn't reek of the real world. So I ran the chat. It loaded instantly. No IP, no logs, just a blinking cursor and a message already waiting. It said, "You're not supposed to be here, Caleb." That was my name. No username, no device trace. I stared at the screen. I hadn't typed a thing. I checked my IP. Nothing outgoing. No packets, no server. Just the client and me. I typed back, thinking maybe someone had embedded a prank script. "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "You already know. You came looking for us." I felt a weird pressure in my chest. Not fear, but a kind of cold curiosity. I started asking more questions, assuming this was some AI chatbot messing with me. But the things it said weren't public, not even on my devices. It referenced my brother's pacemaker, my mother's insomnia, the scar I have on my lower back that no one else has ever seen. I was about to shut it all down, delete the repo, forget the night. But then it said, "If you leave now, we'll take your brother first. Look at his screen." The tension felt like a heavy rope tightening around my ribs. My hands hovered over the keyboard, but I couldn't touch anything. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I opened the remote desktop app I had set up months ago to mess with my brother when he left his PC idle. It was still linked. I connected. The screen flickered, then loaded. His webcam light was on. He was sitting at his desk, staring at his monitor. Pale, almost frozen. I couldn't see what he was looking at, but whatever it was, it had him trapped. His eyes were wide, not blinking. Then I saw his mouth open slowly. He started shaking, at first like a chill, then violently. His body jerked back, slammed into the chair, then forward. His hands clawed at his throat. I saw foam spilling from his lips. His head twitched hard to the side and slammed against the corner of the monitor. Blood sprayed across the screen. I screamed. I actually screamed out loud. I yanked the power cord from the router, shut the laptop, but it didn't stop. The monitor was off, but the fan was still spinning. I turned it back on, and the chat was still there. "He's done. You're not." I begged them to stop. Said I believed them. Said I'd do whatever they wanted. My hands were shaking too much to type, so I just held them over the keyboard, waiting for what came next. A new message came. "You have one job. Entertain us. Make us want to keep you alive. Tell us secrets. Show us things. Suffer for us." I didn't understand what they meant by show, but then the web light turned on. I hadn't touched it. A line appeared in the chat. "Smile." I forced a smile. I stared into the dead glass eye of the camera and grinned like a maniac. Another line popped up. "That's not real. Make it real." I clenched my jaw so hard I thought I'd crack a molar. I slapped my own face, punched myself in the chest. "Good," they wrote. Then they made me stand up, stripped down to my underwear. "Let us see what you really are." I didn't even question how they controlled my system. They were past code. This wasn't malware. It was something else entirely. My screen flashed white, then went black. Then the chat appeared again. A new prompt. Family next. Who do we watch? They showed thumbnails from my family's security cameras. My dad asleep, my mom at the kitchen sink, my younger cousin gaming in his room. I was supposed to pick. I refused. I begged again. Typed, please kill me instead. The cursor blinked for 10 seconds before typing, not yet. I couldn't sit down. The chair had become too hot. Or maybe I was imagining it. My laptop fan was making noises like a dying animal. Everything smelled like metal and sweat. They asked me to dance. I did. I stood naked in my room and danced. Then they told me to cry. I did that too. I let it all out in front of the camera like some zoo animal. They showed me my brother again, still slumped in the chair. Then they rewound the footage, played his death backward and forward. They looped it. My screen was filled with his last moments. Watch it 10 times, they said. If you look away, Mom goes next. The 10th replay made me throw up. I didn't even try to clean it. I just sat in it. They didn't talk for a while after that. Maybe they were watching. Maybe they were laughing. I didn't care anymore. Then a new command. Open your closet. I didn't want to, but I did. There was nothing there. But then my screen changed. It was showing a camera feed inside my own closet. Not a pre-recorded video. Live. I saw myself from behind. I turned around, but no one was there. I slammed the door shut. Typed back, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. They replied, we're not. The room felt like a box filling with water. Not literally, but that slow pressure, like I was sinking without moving. I started hitting random keys, trying to crash the client. Alt plus F4, Control plus Alt plus Delete. Nothing worked. The chat stayed open, lines still coming. All I could do was cry and give up. I fell to the ground accepting that I was going to die. I didn't know if these were ghosts, hackers, whatever. All I could think about was that I was going to die. And even worse, I would get more people killed. Not just any people, my family. I fell into my own snot and tears. I was destroyed. The chat slowed. You are pathetic. You're boring us, it said. I didn't know what that meant. I begged for more time, begged to be interesting, begged like a dog. They didn't reply. The webcam light turned off. The client minimized itself. My wallpaper came back. Everything looked normal. And that was it. It was all over there. No more deep web, no more ghosts, nothing. I turned off the computer in tears. I unplugged it as if that would solve anything. After that, I could only fall into my bed and cry myself to sleep. I couldn't bring myself to call my brother. I knew he was no longer with us. I wasn't ready to be the one to discover his corpse. All I did was sleep and pray that when I woke up, the computer hadn't turned itself on.
My name is Grace Miller. I'm 27, a computer science student in my last year. I've never been popular or the type that draws attention. I mind my own business, finish my classes, do my side jobs, and get home before dark. I wasn't looking for trouble when everything happened. I wasn't flirting with anyone or trying to make enemies. All I did was tell someone I didn't want him near me. His name was Tyler, and we shared a few classes. At first, he blended into the background like any quiet student, but I started noticing things. He'd sit too close even when there was empty seats. He'd stare, not just during class, but when I was walking, eating, even just opening my laptop. I saw him several times trying to sneak a look at my screen. Once, I left my phone on the desk while I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, he was scrolling through my messages. Didn't even look ashamed. I confronted him after class. I told him he made me uncomfortable, that I didn't like how he looked at me or tried to spy on my stuff. I made it clear. I wasn't polite about it, but I wasn't aggressive either. He didn't say anything in return. Just stared with this flat, vacant expression. Then he stopped coming to class. I thought it was over. That was the start. A week passed, then two. I started noticing guys looking at me on the street. At first it felt like regular stares, but then I realized they were always the same men. One of them followed me for 2 blocks before turning away. A different one was parked outside my house 3 nights in a row. I asked my mom if she noticed anything strange, and she said she saw someone standing across the street one morning, just staring at our window. My sister said a man watched her at her school gate, but didn't speak. Something was going on, and I didn't know who to trust. I tried to push it out of my head. Maybe it was coincidence, maybe I was paranoid, maybe I was tying all this to Tyler because I was still on edge. Then Jordan showed up. He was in one of my classes and used to hang out with Tyler sometimes. I hadn't talked to him in months. He pulled me aside at the library, eyes darting everywhere, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He told me Tyler had changed, that he spent all his time on the deep web now, said he was laughing about it, bragging even, that he paid people to harass me, follow me, record me, even try to break into my accounts, that it was some kind of game for him. Jordan told me he didn't want to be part of it, but Tyler said it was too late. He left before I could ask for proof, just turned around and walked out like he was afraid someone was watching. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying his words. Deep web, paid people, surveillance. I checked my accounts, my camera, even the screws on my laptop. I tried telling myself it wasn't real, but it was. And if nobody was going to stop him, I had to do it myself. I found Tyler's address online. He lived alone, close to the outskirts of the city. I told myself I wasn't going to do anything reckless. I just wanted to confront him, record his confession, get something to take to the police. I took my phone, a recording app, and pepper spray, just in case. When I got to his place, it was nearly dark. The curtains were closed, but one faint light was coming from the inside. The door was slightly open. I stood there for a few seconds, heart pounding. I didn't want to go in. I wanted to turn around and leave, but I couldn't. I needed answers. I pushed the door slowly, and it creaked open. The smell hit me first. Rotten food, mold, unwashed clothes. The inside was chaos. Trash everywhere, dirty dishes, half-eaten meals on the floor. The carpet was stained. Flies buzzed around the trash cans and empty bottles. The walls were covered in papers, printouts, notes, what looked like lines of code written in marker. Every step I took made the floor creak. The house wasn't silent. It was filled with this strange humming sound coming from deeper inside, like a machine left on for too long. I turned the corner and stopped. There were 3 monitors on a desk, all displaying live streams. My house. My university. My sister's school. One screen showed me standing outside Tyler's house. A camera had been set up across the street, hidden behind a window. He knew I was coming. He wanted me to come. Then I saw him. He was sitting on the floor against the wall, knees pulled up, staring straight at me. His hair was matted, his face pale and sweaty. He smiled, slow and uneven, like he'd been waiting days for this moment. "You came. I knew you'd come. They always come when you open the door the right way." His voice cracked. He stood up slowly, bones popping. His clothes were stained like he hadn't changed them in weeks. I took a step back, but he moved fast and slammed the door behind me, locking it with one hand. He slid the key into his pocket. I held my pepper spray tight and kept my phone recording. "Don't be scared. I just want to talk. You have to understand, this was never about hurting you." He started pacing, talking faster. He said he'd been preparing for me, that the surveillance, the men, the fear, it was part of something bigger. A lesson. He believed the deep web gave him a place to learn how to fix things. He talked about control, how relationships today were broken, how people needed structure, guidance, how I was chosen, that once I gave in, I'd see how good it could be, that I was lucky. I didn't say anything. I kept watching his pocket. He noticed. "You think you can run? You're already in it. They're watching. Even if you leave, they're still out there." I paid them well. Some of them don't even want money. They just like the game. He moved closer. I backed up against the wall. The room was getting smaller. My heart was racing. I realized he didn't plan on letting me go. This wasn't a warning. It was the start of something much worse. When he stepped closer again, I sprayed him in the face. Hard. He screamed, dropping to the floor, clawing at his eyes. I rushed at him and kicked his side, grabbing at the keys hanging from his pants. He tried grabbing my leg, but I stomped on his hand and yanked the keys free. I ran to the door, unlocked it, hand on the handle, heart beating like a drum. Then I froze. If I walked out now, he'd still be alive. Still out there, still online. He knew how to hide, how to reach people. He didn't need to be free to make my life hell. He could keep pulling the strings from a cell, and if he escaped prison time, he'd be worse. He'd come back. I thought about my mom, my sister. I thought about the streams. I turned around. He was on his knees, coughing, eyes red and watery. He looked pathetic, small, but he was still smiling, like he thought he was winning. I walked over. He opened his mouth to say something. I didn't let him. I drove the keys into his chest, over and over. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just kept pushing until he stopped moving. My hands were shaking. My vision was blurry, but it was done. The neighbors called the cops. They found me sitting on the floor, blood on my hands, still holding the keys. I didn't run or lie. I gave them everything. My phone, the recording, the footage. They searched the house, found his setup, the streams, his messages on hidden forums, his transaction logs with usernames linked to deep web contracts. It helped my case. They believed he lured me, that he planned to keep me there, that he wanted to break me until I accepted him. But I still went to prison. 2 years. They said I used excessive force, that there were other ways to escape. The truth is, they didn't understand. They never saw what I saw. They didn't know what it's like to be hunted like prey for months. And maybe they never will. I got out last month. My name's changed now. I live in a different city. I don't use my real photo online. I don't go out alone at night. Sometimes I think I see someone following me, but when I look again, they're gone. I still check every room before sleeping. I unplug every camera I own. What scares me the most isn't what happened. It's knowing how easy it was for him to find people to help. They're still out there, you know? If they really were watching, they didn't try to protect the psycho. Maybe, just maybe, they were happy with what they were seeing. And that's fine by me.
I didn't want to go back, but I had to. I left a few things in Marcus's house when they took his body out. I avoided it for 6 months, hoping someone else would deal with it. They didn't. His parents packed everything and told me I could come by to get whatever I wanted. They didn't seem to care much about keeping any of his stuff. Marcus died in that house. They said it was a heart attack, but he was 30, healthy, clean. The only addiction he had was to the deep web. He spent every night in front of that computer, headphones on, talking to people he never introduced me to. He didn't tell me what he was doing, just that I wouldn't understand. He was right. When I got to the house, everything was quiet, dead quiet. The living room was full of labeled boxes, clothes, books, documents, neat and untouched. I went straight to the room he used as an office. Same smell, like burnt dust and cheap plastic. The boxes were stacked against the wall, but the desk was still set up. Monitor, keyboard, tower. Nothing else. They didn't touch it, not even unplug it. Everything else in the house was cleaned out, but that desk looked like he had just gotten up to grab a drink. I stood at the door for a long time, just looking at it. The monitor was off, but I felt like it was watching me. I took one step inside, then another. The carpet creaked like it had been stepped on in months. I crouched down to grab the power cord and pull it out from the wall. Right before I touched it, the monitor lit up. The fan inside the tower spun up. The startup sound blasted through the room. It was on. I stepped back, fast. I hadn't touched anything. The PC booted straight to the desktop. No password. No delay. Just opened like someone had been using it 2 minutes ago. Then Tor launched. Automatically. The browser he always used. But it didn't load a black market page or one of those forums he lived in. It opened Facebook. His account was open. Profile photo, cover photo, same old layout. I saw a new post, one I had never seen. It was a picture of this room, taken from behind the monitor. I was in the photo. The boxes were behind me, and Marcus was next to them, standing there, pale, eyes sunken, mouth half open. He'd been dead for months. I slowly turned around and looked at the boxes. Same position, but nobody was there. I looked back at the screen. The caption below the picture said, "Hello?" That's when I heard the first notification sound. My phone. I pulled it out. It was a message on Messenger. From Marcus. His name lit up like nothing had happened. Like he had been buried. Like he wasn't rotting in a coffin somewhere. The message said, "You replaced me already?" My mouth went dry. I looked back at the monitor. The Facebook tab was open to my profile. A picture loaded. One I had taken recently. It was me and a guy I'd gone on a few dates with. We were smiling. He had his arm around me. I never posted that online. It was in my gallery, saved on my phone. The mouse moved on its own again. It clicked into the photo, opened it full screen. Then the screen started to glitch, like static. Then another message popped up. This time on the monitor, not through Messenger. Just white text over the image. "I see everything." I reached for the tower and pressed the power button. It didn't respond. I held it. 5 seconds. 10. Nothing. I unplugged the tower completely. The fan stopped. The screen went black. Silence. I backed away toward the hallway. I didn't even want my stuff anymore. I just wanted out. I turned to leave, but the monitor lit up again. Still unplugged. No power. But it was on. I turned to look at it. A new image had loaded. Me. Right now. Bag in hand. Same expression. Same clothes. And behind me, Marcus's arms wrapped around my shoulders. But it wasn't him. Not really. It was his body, rotting, collapsed face, skin like old meat. The caption below said, "Always together." I stood there, staring at it. Then I felt the arms again. His hands were cold, like wet concrete. They gripped my waist, pulled me backward. I screamed and threw my elbow back. It hit something solid. Bone. The grip loosened. I turned and stumbled to the door, but he grabbed my hair and yanked me back to the room. My knees hit the floor, hard. I clawed at the carpet, kicked back blindly. My foot connected with something soft. A groan escaped behind me. I crawled to the wall and pulled myself up, legs shaking. I didn't look behind. I just ran to the kitchen, slammed the door shut behind me, and pushed a chair under the handle. It didn't help. The door creaked open an inch on its own. I backed into the hallway, not blinking. Then the lights went out. All of them. The whole house. It was dead silent, except for the low static hum from the monitor. I could still hear it. I didn't know how. I crept toward the office door, hoping it was just my imagination. But the screen was still on. The photo was gone. Now it showed a live feed, a webcam view. It was me, standing in the hallway, looking at the screen in real time. Then the text appeared. "Come back in." I started to cry without even realizing it. I walked backwards slowly, keeping my eyes on the screen. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "Let me show you something." The lights turned back on, but only in the office. I walked into the room again, like something was forcing me. The screen showed a new picture. Me, lying on the floor. Dead. Eyes open. Blood around my head. I blinked and the image changed. Now it was Marcus, alive, smiling, sitting at the desk. Then something moved in the corner of the room. I turned fast. Nothing. I looked back. Now the photo showed both of us, sitting at the desk, smiling, hands touching. I heard a breath behind me. I turned, swinging my bag. It passed through the air. Empty space. But the bag came back wet, like it hit something wet and thick. I dropped it. My legs were shaking. I tried to run, but something grabbed my ankle and dragged me to the floor. My fingernails broke against the wood as I clawed for grip. I turned and kicked hard, hitting something. I scrambled to my feet and grabbed the desk lamp. I swung it behind me, hitting nothing, but I heard him breathe again. Not from his mouth. From the speakers. Then I saw the final image on the screen. A picture of me, screaming. My mouth open, eyes wild. Behind me, Marcus was fully visible, holding me like a doll, his head leaning into my shoulder. The caption said, "You're home now." The computer tower turned back on by itself. Sparks flew from the back. Smoke started rising. The lights in the house flickered. I didn't care anymore. I sprinted for the front door. My foot caught something. I tripped and fell hard on the floor, my face slamming into the wood. Warm blood ran from my nose. Then I felt it. Hands again, grabbing my arms, pulling me toward the monitor, toward the desk. I kicked it, bit, screamed. Nothing helped. The monitor showed a swirling dark screen like it was opening, like it was waiting to swallow me. I used everything I had, twisted hard, dug my nails into the carpet. Something tore into my shoulder, but I didn't stop. I kicked back, hit the chair, and it slammed into the monitor. The screen cracked. The grip loosened instantly. I crawled to the door, gasping. I opened it and fell outside, hitting the concrete with my face. Cold wind hit me. My body was shaking. Skin torn. Shirt soaked with blood and something else. I got up and ran down the street barefoot. I never looked back. I didn't stop until the house was out of sight. I never went back, never tried to recover my things. I left the city 2 days later, changed my number, destroyed my laptop. I don't own a phone anymore. I don't go online. I don't trust screens. Sometimes I think I still see him in reflections, behind dirty glass, in windows when the lights go out. I know he's actually not there, but I can't stop seeing him.